Hello! Hello, the internet. It's Alex and
George and Tim.
We're here from Team Beast of Balance to take your questions and stream with you for a little while to talk about the game and production and where we're going. We are getting close to launch. These things are happening. It's happening in real life. This beautiful thing is the box. This was made at our amazing factory in China, and I'm not sure if this is if you physically brought this one back in your suitcase.
Yeah.
But they are getting packed up into container ships and shipped around the world so that we can fulfill to all of our wonderful backers pretty soon. So we're gonna, as we start to build up to launch. Hello, Nick.
Yeah, I was in shot, wasn't I? Sorry.
You were in shot, it's fine. As we're getting pretty close to launch, we figure it's time to start coming out of our shell, start being slightly less deep into production, and start to share some of the things that we've been doing. And so we're going to do some of these live streams. So if you're into this, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, press the button, and we'll keep doing these and keep sharing fun and cool ideas with you. So we've got some questions, and we've got some questions which we've already solicited.
I want to first thing hi to Zachary, say hi on the chat.
Oh,
so
hey,
please,
Zachary.
Please ping us on the chat if you've got any questions as we're going through this.
Exactly.
Just to tell us if we're wrong.
Yeah.
Idiots or something like that.
Just trolling, light trolling of some kind is fine.
And heavy trolling.
And heavy trolling.
Let's go for it.
Yeah, right. I mean, it'll just be like a regular day in the office.
It will.
But let's dive in with some questions.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask this question to Tim first. This is a question from the guys at Lightseekers who launched their Kickstarter today. Very exciting. Very cool connected toys. Think Skylanders, but with actual cool stuff. Sick burn.
Controversial.
Let's get straight in there. So anyway, this question goes to Tim. Their question is, what's the secret to building a great Kickstarter campaign?
Oh, good question.
Yeah.
What is the secret to building a good Kickstarter campaign? I think you have to talk to your backers. I think.
You've got to talk to your backers.
You have to talk to your backers. Conversations are good. People like to feel they can approach the creators, and you have to answer them quickly, and you have to be truthful with what you say, obviously. Yeah, so just talk to your backers. They want to hear about you. They actually want to hear about you as opposed to the project as well. We found quite a lot of. So yeah, I guess just be approachable, I'd say.
So something that I have now learned about Lightseekers, or the team behind Lightseekers, is they own an actual tank.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. If you back at the maximum high price reward tier, one of the reward items you get is a drive around in their tank.
Okay, so let me.
Why do they have a tank?
I don't know.
I've been in that tank.
You've been in that tank?
The tank is awesome.
Okay.
He's
Has
he's
everyone
a
been in the
black
tank?
army.
Wait,
personnel carrier.
hang on. None of us have been in the tank. Freaking Alex behind the camera, and Nick also behind the camera. They've been in the tank.
Yeah.
What's that about?
I drove around the car park in that tank. I actually took control of that tank.
I'd like to share my answer.
Yeah.
The secret to a successful Kickstarter is
Having
having a tank.
Having a tank. Yeah.
We don't have anything. We've got a Brompton.
That's right.
Yeah, why wasn't
You
that?
too can have a ride on Alex's folding bicycle while you have a turn around the Somerset House quad.
Yeah, why wasn't that our top award on the Kickstarter? Donate £10,000, you can have a go on Alex's Brompton.
I'll give you a backy. I'll give you a backy to the coffee shop. Buy you a milkshake.
Can I have a go in the tank, please?
Yeah. Okay. So, Lightseekers, if you're listening, big fans, please let us have a go in your tank.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Next question. So this is an interesting thing. So this is a question that came up while we were over at Lost My Name HQ, and this one I'm going to ask George. So there was a gentleman there.
The next one.
Yeah. Okay. Good idea. A guy called Squirrel. Hey Squirrel, if you're watching. And he was talking about the idea that this would be a good co-op game for people to play if some of those people were blind or partially sighted, and some weren't. I mean, do you want to talk about the game as it is, and what kind of things we might want to do or work on to kind of make that cool?
So I mean, also for me, I remember we were at EGX and talked to people from Special Effects who were also super keen, or like non-specifically just keen because the game is so open and is so physical, and especially because they do a lot of building physical ways to control a digital thing.
Right.
We wanted to make it more accessible in that kind of way. But then we're like, we don't know exactly what we need to do to make this more accessible or exactly what we do. So that's kind of interesting to me. So the game definitely has a whole thing of just trying to work as an accessible thing and like fall down to the level of engagement you're able to give it.
Yeah.
And obviously, just as well as that, there's kind of classic UI thing of trying to have as much reinforcement, as many different ways of seeing it. You obviously tested it for color blindness.
Yeah, which works pretty well.
Works pretty well.
Yes.
Some of the blocks look the same color, but luckily they're completely different shapes. So.
Stacking's kind of great, isn't it? Because if you're any older than 1, you have stacked stuff professionally. There's been a moment in your life when you've taken stacking extremely, and you've been there. And I mean, obviously, when you're 2, most of the fun is smashing it down again. Takes a little longer, but I think
there's also the fun in our game. I mean, not smashing it down again, but
Well, the joy of a good collapse, something like it. I think we're really interested in figuring out how we can make the game more accessible. We probably have to get through launch and ship a bunch of stuff first, but definitely something for next year to pick up.
Tim, good answers. Next question. This is from Adam Tuttle. Hi, Adam. And this one is going to go for you, Alex. So, what advice would you give someone who wants to create their own game?
Wow. I think it's never been a better time to be a game creator, right? I mean, you've got so many different tools at your disposal, whether it's if you're a digital creator and you want to use something like Game Maker, if you're kind of mucking around with board games, then a pen and paper and some dice will take you a pretty long way. Well, if you want to make your own game, there's a few things. There's playing a bunch of games, trying out a different bunch of game styles, and thinking about what it is about those styles of games that you personally like and that resonates for you and that you're interested in. I think reading games criticism is really important. So reading sites like Critical Distance, although Lee Alexander doesn't write much anymore for games, about games, that sort of stuff she did, because I think actually being really critical about games and thinking about them is an important part. And then there's the obvious stuff around playtesting. Every game that I've ever played has always kind of emerged from a whole ton of playtesting and iterative development, all those sorts of things. So yeah, I think that probably and having a good name.
Having a good name.
Well, so I have a thing where sometimes I like to come up with a name and then try and come up with a game that name would have, and most of those names have got some kind of pun in them. So like cubular balls. I really want to figure out.
Big fan of the dad joke.
It's not a joke. It's true. That's actually it sounds like a joke, but it's an actual design technique that I use
trying to find that. Hang on, I'm going to find. There's a book that I read which was really good, and I'm going to find.
This is great. Tim's just going to go for a rummage around in his library. That's why we're going to live stream Tim looking for a book.
It's this one. I'm going to find it. Okay, look. So Beast of Balance is the first game that I've actually worked on. So I studied something different, and
What did you study?
I studied product design.
Yeah,
in Brighton.
relevant.
And yeah, lucky that.
Yeah.
So I wanted
to
college. I wanted to get a bit of a primer on some of the terms, and George recommended this. So this is a game design vocabulary by Amsbury and Clark. It's very easy to digest, but it's great. It's specifically, I found it talks about the terminology used to talk about games, adjectives and nouns, how to describe different mechanics and that kind of thing. So maybe we can put a link in, but if anyone's interested in it, It's really good read.
Two amazing games.
Actually read it.
Yeah.
You took your advice.
I actually understand what you're talking about. Anyway.
Shout out to Anaranthropy and Naomi Clark, who are two amazing game designers as well, and made some incredible games. If you ever get the chance to check out Naomi Clark's Consenticle, it's a two-player card game about trying to have consensual and mutually satisfying intercourse between human and alien. And it's really good.
A great one for the family.
Yes, I was going to say, yeah, imagine that. Uncle Ted busts out Consenticle after Christmas dinner. Who's up for a game of this? Anybody?
So I was going to say, if anyone has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I have it on one of the two phones.
Oh, look at that! Yeah, absolutely. We're multi-screening.
So I want to ask a question. So Alex, you've often brought up the idea of making an expansion with a plush jellyfish.
I have.
And I'd like this is a question for Tim. Tim, when are we doing that?
Oh, the plush jellyfish. This is one of the. All right, so. To explain, how did that even start? It was during the campaign.
So there were the awesome guys over at Toys for Games.
Yeah,
and
the awesome guys who wanted this time.
It was during the campaign, and because they're in America, they wanted to do it at the end of the day. So it was like about 10 o'clock. I put the kids to bed. I may have had a couple of whiskeys, and then I got on a podcast. And one of the things we were talking about was how cool it would be to do expansions and upgrades. Yeah. And I was like, I don't know, like a plush jellyfish. And it would kind of have this beanbaggy bottom so that you could sort of like smoosh it down and then make a flat layer and then a shiny top, and then you put things on and little tendrils and like basically kind of, I accepted.
But then it got a life of its own. Yeah. It became a bit of a weird legend and almost like who's the gorilla that Harambe style.
Harambe and Beast of Balance.
And it
weirdly, you'd think Harambe would be the Harambe Beast of Balance, given that we could actually make a Harambe piece.
Well, I'm quite glad we've skipped that particular.
I have to say, 10 minutes into you're talking about gorilla killing.
That's gonna get.
Oh, is that the story? Is that the
Yeah, it's sad.
Oh, dear.
Let's not go down there. Yeah. But anyway, so the jellyfish keeps on rearing its
tentacles.
Its plush tentacle head, and I get the feeling it's not going to go away until it actually exists. So let's see what happens.
I think that's the closest Tim's come to saying yes. Mostly he said no, quite a lot more forcefully than that.
Straight and from the word.
Yeah. I guess it's before the watershed, even if we are only on the internet.
I'm coming around to the idea.
Hi Thrin, by the way.
So you just, hey, who?
Thrin.
Thrin. Oh, hey Thrin. Hey. How nice of you to join us. I bet Thrin would have a good question.
Yeah,
I hope.
Okay. Let's see.
There are some less serious ones down the bottom.
We're getting to those.
We've answered some serious ones.
Okay,
we could mix it up.
Question for the panel. Okay. This is from Charlie Stratton. Hello, it's my cousin. What tabletop games did you play growing up? Let's have one each. If there's one formative tabletop game.
I have a story about a tabletop game that I played as a child. That it isn't called this because I googled it since there's been Google, but I thought it was called Kensington, and it was a game where you laid like coloured strips of different lengths, and you had to try to sort of enclose space. And I played it on some like summer camp or something, like it was like I was at some residential thing, and I was a kid. I probably would have been older, but like 11 or 12, and it was amazing. And because I was a kid, I just kind of, this is really great, and then forgot about it, and then never found it again.
Kensington.
Yeah, so Kensington or name like that. Like I've asked people like James Wallace, who's an encyclopedia of games knowledge, and drawn a blank to date.
Josh. I think they played like very standard tabletop.
I'm a Monopoly man.
Yeah, no, like I remember playing Monopoly. I remember playing Junior Cluedo. For some reason, we only had Junior Cluedo.
Wow.
So I still don't know how
it was in there, but it was Cluedo. Cluedo.
Yeah, that's right.
No, people still get killed. Just the clues are different. I don't know.
This murder.
Yeah. Oh, it had this cool thing. Where you got these kind of cards. This might be in regular Cluedo. I have no idea, as I said. So you had these cards that had stuff written on it, and then it had like like red things on top, so you could only see if you used a red magnifying glass, and then you could see the words printed on it.
Yeah, that says murder yourself. Yeah, no, I mean, junior versions of board games make me pretty mad.
Yeah.
My daughter got the junior Frozen Monopoly for Christmas. And that is, I mean, it's basically like they've stripped everything out apart from dice rolling and getting money. And it's basically gambling. It's like a really raw gambling
Monopoly.
Yeah.
Monopoly. So how many? How
It's
does it
like
fit us an entire?
It doesn't. You basically you have to buy the property of everything that you get, everything you land on. You have no choices. I can't really remember how it worked, but I was just like, it was this very brutal, fast, and it's like, so this is a brutal, like sort of hyper intense gambling game with princesses for 6-year-olds. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I can imagine that playtesting very well.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I mean, unsurprisingly, my daughter loved it. Yeah.
So
I think we've got a question.
we've got multiple questions. From chat. Apparently,
Mine's Hero Quest, by the way. I have 2
Oh,
copies,
sorry.
still play it.
my phone did not update. So first question: what was the first version of the game? The process.
Hang on, wait. I'm gonna do some rummaging. Wait, we're back in a second.
Wow. So, okay, the first version of the game.
No, but wait, because it's these.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
It's these things.
Oh yeah. So the first version of the game was us like stacking random objects, like a pen, and
A lighter, an iPhone.
bits of wood.
So it was George and I, just across, opposite, you can't see, but behind you, where you are looking at us, behind you there is a place called Playhouse, or used to be called Playhouse. And we sat in there November 2014.
Yeah.
And just had a bunch of, I bought these wooden blocks on the internet, I remember that, and put stickers on them.
Slightly wonky wooden blocks.
Yeah, slightly wonky wooden blocks. We had a friend from the RCA who had a bunch of offcuts of stuff that they'd left behind from cutting other things, and that was quite good. And bits of perspex like this. So that was, I think, that was the original Migrate piece, or one of them. Cool. We should do like coloured perspex pieces. They're pretty cool. Aren't they? Yeah. So that was before there was a game, really. That was like,
well, for a long time, for I don't know, multiple months, we still didn't know what the game was entirely, and we were just playing it by stacking things and trying to come up with rules and kind of exploring that out. Like,
do you remember when it became about Beasts? Because I was trying to think about that.
No, so it always had animals in, pretty much. That was kind of in.
It was like nature, balance of nature, and the balance of.
But so for a long time, it had like quite intricate ecosystem simulations.
There was a version where we tried to calculate the biomass in the ecosystem, and there was like plankton, and
The
then
biomass came later.
oh yeah,
Yeah. So initially, it was just like kind of fox and rabbit trying to model like population.
oh, they
collapses.
bred and they had infants.
Yeah,
There was all
exactly.
kinds of things, and it turns out nature's quite complicated. It's quite a complicated thing to model.
The chain of thought was actually still sound, right? So the chain of thought was, we're making a board game thing, but since it's a computer, we don't need to use like round numbers.
Yeah.
So let's properly make the most of the fact that there's going to be just huge numbers and they're going to go up and down
Yeah,
in a kind of organic kind of way.
yeah.
And then that's still less approachable.
Do you guys remember the point when you realised it wasn't a fun game?
Well, we realised that many times. I mean, that's the whole thing, right? You got to like, oh, this is.
It was pretty. Yeah, you needed an instruction booklet like this.
No, yeah.
Yeah, but so that's different from it not being fun. Like, as a game design problem, no one understands at all how to play this,
Yeah, sure.
and it's not fun. The two separate
It was quite. It was quite hard to
approach. So
Yeah.
no one understood how to play it.
It turns out if you leave George and I in a room unattended for 3 months,
Yeah.
we will have a whale of a time,
Yeah.
but we will come up with something that's maybe not that comprehensible to the outside world. I think that's fair. But the first times we played, we were just literally playing like kids. You know, we were just like imaginative play. We had some big bits of A4, and I said I'm the god of furry things, and you're the god of something else, and we just imaginatively mucked around with it for a while, and it was pretty fun. I have to say, it was good.
Yeah, so it was fun from that point.
Yeah, and then it got complicated for a bit. Well, it got complicated for a bit, and then it kind of got simpler again. And then, but that's a whole different story.
Hey,
questions?
Theo, just
Theo,
right.
good name.
So, yeah, another question. As part of your research, this is for you guys. As part of your research, did you have to balance animals in real life? Which ones were most compatible?
I mean, I have
Have you ever stacked a real animal?
Well, we've been collecting pictures of animals stacked on animals.
Have you?
Have I ever personally? I mean, we have 2 kittens, and I suppose I've, like they don't necessarily stack. I would say that one's kind of like suspended off the ground on top of the other one, but they certainly kind of smoosh together quite nicely.
You're going to have animal welfare on your back after this.
I mean, just like gently.
Yeah.
I cannot say that I've ever stacked an animal, although now I'm thinking there's a lot of snails in my garden. Maybe I'm going to try and make a tower of snails. I wonder how many snails you could get stacked on each other, because there's the adhesive quality of the snail. They're pretty slow moving. Yeah. And it doesn't matter if they fall over.
I do find it's not
snail snacking. Snacking? No.
I don't know if you think. I do find that I absent-mindedly stack things.
Oh yeah.
A lot.
No, I was on holiday. I was on holiday last summer in France, and we got to the place where we were staying, and there was a river running through the campsite we were camping in, and there were all of these really nice, like knobbly, rocky stones, and people had already built them into towers. And my wife looked at me and was like, I thought we can't wait to get away from all of this.
all of these like objects on top of other objects.
It's like seeing the Matrix. All I see is angles.
So no. Cool. Stacking stuff is great.
You got anything now?
Yeah, more questions.
Awesome.
From Tim Coulson. What animals were considered that didn't make the final cut?
Oh, many.
Oh.
So many.
I Tim.
I mean...
Tim's my friend.
Yeah.
He's getting married.
Oh, congratulations.
Congratulations.
The honey badger.
Should I get the crab?
Oh yeah, that's one of the crabs.
Yeah. Honey badger isn't dead.
Honey badger, no. So there was a time. There was a time when it was going to be all based around regions. So there was a long time when there was regions or biomes. They were called biomes for a while, and so we were thinking about savanna and jungle and sea or something. And it was like we were thinking it'd be cool to have the Arctic expansion pack and have like the Arctic fox and the narwhal and stuff. So the savannah was going to have the honey. Well, we had a lot of arguments about whether the honey badger was more fabulous than a lion, and we were like, I was like, honey badger is much cooler, but it's not a very interesting animal.
No, it's just
sculpturally
brown. I mean,
sounds like a lot of animals are kind of
brown. A lot of animals are kind of brown,
But this is the crab. So this is a really bad print that's been around the walls. But I want to resurrect him because he's quite a happy little chap. And he's quite fun to stack. So he's got nice little legs under there. So this is one of the ones that unfortunately got cut.
Yeah. You can also see this RFID sticker that we've made on all the prototype ones before. We had them in multiple parts, just sticking
they were embedded inside. Yeah, that's a classic 3D printed prototype.
Yeah, it's just 3D printed. So who knows? Maybe he'll come.
Yeah, crab is a good one. I spent a long time fighting pretty hard for the secretary bird.
Too long.
Too long.
That's one of those ones.
How can we ever say we spent too long fighting for something?
Yeah. What was the? There was a shrimp. What was that?
The mantis shrimp. Well, that's from the oatmeal. So there's a brilliant oatmeal cartoon about the mantis shrimp and how pound for pound or gram for gram, it's the most powerful creature ever, and it can see in 40 bajillion colours.
And it's super fabulous.
It really is. It is a fabulous beast. I mean, sorry, it's a beast of balance. Sorry, Jake. Sorry.
Relevantly, we have a question from Johnny Sandlands. We'll go back to your question, Theo. I was just going to it's connected. The question reads, I'm going to read this out. Fabulous beasts forever. Can you explain a bit about the name change?
Can we explain a bit about the name change? Yes. I mean, it's a tale as old as time, as Angela most famously said in That's Beauty and the Beast. Our game used to be called Fabulous Beasts, which was a good name. I'm sure we can all agree. And Warner Brothers, and we knew about this, but we thought it was okay. Warner Brothers had a movie called Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. And that's what their trademark was in. And we then filed for our trademark. A trademark is basically a thing that says, we've got this name and you can't have it, so no. It's a very, it's a slightly childish form of IP protection, but that's exactly what it does. And we needed to do that for various reasons. And they said, no, we oppose your trademark. We don't want to let you have that. And then so there are basically in every country or territory, so there's the EU, which I guess we won't be bothering with much in the future, but for now, the EU sort of trademark body, and the UK one and the US one. And the UK IPO said, you guys have to sort this out. And it's pretty simple, really. When a very small company and a very large company try to have a conversation about something, the very large company is probably going to get what it wants. And in fairness, they were there first, and they had all kinds of very reasonable reasons for saying what they did.
I mean, the whole principle of a large company gets to have their say is also enshrined in the law on this, right?
Oh yeah, actually that's right.
Yeah, there's the house and yard analogy, which is if you have a very large house, then you get a very large yard.
Yeah.
So if you've got a famous name, then you get a proportionately large expanse of name around
latitude,
space around it.
name latitude,
Exactly.
name similarity. I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah. So if it was a very small movie called Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, then
there was also the very sensible, reasonable thing that we didn't necessarily want to be confusing people, and there were a few. Oh, hey, I see the J.K. Rowling's got a Kickstarter going. You know, sort of tweets and things, and that stuff's. I mean, there were many fewer of those than people who tweeted, "Oh, I thought this said fantastic breasts, lol," which we collected a huge number of, which was kind of pretty embarrassing. But no, so breast.
That's a different game.
We're not making
That's
that. We're not making that. Who would sponsor that? Rigby and Pella. Bravissimo, yeah. Anyway, I mean, if there happen to be any hosiery sponsors out there who'd like a connected, no, I'm just going to stop there. Long story short, we had some conversations with them, and we thought, you know what? We like the name Fabulous Beasts, but we like being a company and making our game more. So we decided it was time to move on. Actually, I like Beasts of Balance better. I think it's more descriptive, and I think that's helpful.
It was a painful process.
It was.
Yeah.
Make of that what you will. There was a lot of time.
Yeah.
There was a lot of whiteboards. There was a lot of tension.
There was a lot of tension. It's not something I want to do.
No, I mean, it's hard enough naming something once.
Yeah.
Have I turned this round? This is the back of the box. This is the front of the box. If you tuned in recently, this is the Beasts of Balance Q&A live stream. Thanks for joining us. Please do subscribe to our channel, and if you enjoy hearing us waffle on and would like more, then let us know. Let's have another question. What have we got?
Sure.
You go on.
Yeah.
Go on.
What sorts of physical DLC are you playing?
DLC.
Shall I go quick to the first add-ons?
Yeah, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, new stuff. No one's seen these yet, I don't think.
It's just up on the.
Oh
yeah. So this is Lalnine, which you may have seen. This was developed during the Kickstarter campaign.
with the Yogscast and Duncan from the Yogscast.
Oh, and this is the mythical Omnibeast, a legendary creature that some say consists of parts of all of the other beasts, creating some unholy monster.
Some say those people who have used their eyes to look at it.
Some say, legend has it.
Yeah. I like the fact, it still pleases me that the eagle's wings have been shrunk and become the Omnibeast's pendulous ears. It's still delightful.
These are the first ones.
Do you know what I realised the other day? I don't think we've built a tower with all 26 pieces.
No,
including the other ones.
no.
I don't think anybody has yet.
I mean, that's the challenge. So these ones were kind of purposely designed to be to up the difficulty a tiny, a manageable amount. But you're right, we haven't. I don't think we've had a full tower yet.
There was one built at EGX with the landline, right?
Yeah.
So 25.
Right.
I don't think the audience as well. So we should do that, I guess, at some stage. See if it's possible to build a tower with all the pieces that we've physically manufactured.
Right. Well, we're at.
If anybody watching happens to be in the London area and wants to come in and be the first, we'll give you access.
And Essen.
Oh yeah.
We'll take them to Essen.
We'll take them to Essen. So big board game convention in Germany coming up. You're going to be there. Let us know. We'd like to see. We'll be on the Kickstarter stand as part of Ludi Creations.
Ludi Creations.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, but then who knows?
So coming up, physical DLC, plush jellyfish, animatronic giraffe.
Stick insect.
Stick insect. Oh god.
So I don't know.
What do you want to do, Tim?
You know what I want to do.
What do you want to do?
Cthulhu. It will not die. The obligatory Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Imagine how cool that would be.
Sure.
Imagine what we could do. And I'm saying it on camera so that you guys have to respond to this finally. Imagine bringing this thing in and then the world just kind of going.
Yeah. Okay, so it's really going to be cool. My stance on all this is like we need to like set up the world, and build up this mythos and all this kind of stuff for enough, and then when you bring it in, then finally it fucks everything up.
So the other thing we're thinking alongside more pieces, so there'll be new beasts, there'll be new miracles. So there might even be new pieces that create entirely new gameplay like modes that we don't even know about yet. We're also thinking about different ways to have fun with the pieces we already have. So the game that we're launching with is a cooperative game. It's about working together to build the best world that you can, and that's great. But sometimes gods just want to be the best and crush their other godly opponents. So a competitive mode seems like it would be a good thing to do. We're also thinking about story mode. So NFC cards, we've been playing around with those a little bit, thinking about the sort of design potential of what if you were playing a more involved, deeper, richer game over multiple towers, and maybe just sort of a bit of legacy style mechanics for those people who know what that means.
Great.
Yeah, and where you all have an identity. So one of you might be the god of the moon, and one of you might be the god of the sea, all different things, and that gives you special powers that then get modified by NFC cards that you play in at different times. So yeah, there's just tons of things. There's a lot of things. There's more things to do than we have time for, that's for sure.
But I mean, the exciting thing is that once you have these things, then we're going to give you lots of different ways to play with them. So yeah, it's quite a unique way to do it.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah,
cool.
Hi, Linda.
Hi, Linda.
And yeah, thanks, Rosalind. She just told us to do all of those ideas.
Okay.
Thanks.
This is why you never say anything on camera, right? Okay.
I also want, I want somehow to figure out how we do like either adhesive or magnetized pieces or ways to like. I want towers that you can build that way as well as that way. That's in my dream.
Like, what about gunge pieces?
Gunge?
Pieces,
yeah,
pieces
just blobby.
yeah.
Oh, actually, the blobfish. Have you seen the ugliest, the famous, the ugliest creature? If you make it out of that kind of grim, silly putty kind of, not silly putty, like really squishy, weird material.
You get like a silicone sack with some gel in. I think the blobfish looks fine as long as you don't take it out of water reasonably enough.
Yeah, probably.
Another question from the stream. This one especially for Tim. What have you learnt about manufacturing so far? Would you do anything?
It's really bloody hard. Don't try it. Don't sleep. I'm going great purely because of this project.
Yeah, it's definitely.
I don't even like the game.
It's not like entropy or aging. It's just us.
That's a really good question. So, so I was lucky enough to study it for 4 years, but I came away from it with actually surprisingly little practical knowledge of how the process works. And it turns out it's really impenetrable to find out how to make things at scale unless you've been through it. So something I'm really keen to do once we've got a bit of breathing space is to maybe write some of the stuff up that we've learned and share it, or I don't know, do some talking or that kind of, do some talking.
You should do words in a row.
Do a talk or something like that to practical experience of it. So the things that I've learned are the most important thing is to not guess about too much stuff. If you don't know what to do at a certain point, find someone who's done it before. So we're really lucky in that we've partnered up with a kind of partner company in Hong Kong who have really good ties with factories. So they've been able to go out and recommend us quality factories that they have experience with, so they can vouch for the workmanship. Yeah. So we kind of de-risked a lot of the process by finding people who've done it before. And yeah, just finding people who know what they're talking about just makes the whole process a lot more manageable. Because to be honest, this was a big undertaking, and there are many, many points that it could have gone horribly wrong. And still can go horribly wrong.
Well, it's exciting. The list of things that could still go wrong is shorter than the list of things that didn't.
But we shouldn't dwell on them because fate would make them all happen.
Absolutely, no.
So there's lots I want to share.
There's something that's quite interesting about the difference between the studio prototype and the manufactured thing, isn't there? Like we went through like when you're making a physical thing, it's easy as game designers or designers, I guess in general, to kind of get locked into the thing that's in your studio. Because the prototype is the thing you're going to make, and then of course, high volume manufacturing methods turn out a completely different thing. Well, not completely different, but different in very meaningful ways. So a big example of that was the finish of the pieces. The kind of epoxy resin or the 3D printed materials that we were using to make prototypes here in London had a completely different level of slickiness than the ABS injection molding pieces. And we thought we could fix that by texturing the molds, which would make them kind of textured pieces. Turned out that made it worse. And so then we had to do some very, very fast switching around to find a kind of spray finish, which some of the pieces have, which restores that slippy quality. And we kind of knew that was coming, and we knew that it would potentially be a problem, but there's still, you can't really do anything about it till you're in the middle of production and the things have come off the production line and you're holding them in your hands and going, oh damn, and figuring out what to do. So that's another reason why you need really good partners, because it's not just knowing stuff. It's knowing stuff and being able to do it at the time, right there and then. You haven't got time to learn because you've got to keep going to make your deadline.
Yeah, I keep remembering like you going and showing off plans and stuff to them, and then going like, wow, this is actually really comprehensive.
Yeah.
For people who are arriving here trying to manufacture a thing, like you've designed it, you've made a working prototype.
Yes,
that's true.
Yeah.
Normally we get a napkin.
Yeah.
Hasbro.
I tell you what, like so another thing that's worth not underestimating. That's a sentence, I think. Going from 3D printing to something that can be manufactured in plastic is a big leap. And if you are starting out on something and you're using 3D printing or some kind of rapid prototyping, think about what happens after that when you're designing for the 3D printer. 3D printers are great. They can make any shape. But the problem is going from that to the next stage, you may find that you have to essentially start from scratch and redo everything. I'm not saying that's what I did. Yeah, no, it was what I did.
Chris and I, the first time this is Chris is over here. Say hello, Chris.
Hi.
We went to China like 18 months ago now, not quite, maybe like sort of early summer 2015. And we went to a plastics injection molding company, and there was this really strangely, like a 70-year-old man from Burnley who worked there. He was like this retired Lancastrian, and he knew everything there was to know about injection molded plastic. And he literally went through all of Tim's 3D printed prototype and kind of separated it out to two piles, which was could be made and couldn't be made. And it was like, no, what? No. I mean, maybe. No. And it was a chastening experience.
Like imagine what the process of making new pieces or making a new game is going to be like. Now we've got all this stuff in our heads.
I know.
Like, I mean, we were explicitly making the original prototypes going, like, let's just make something that's really good, and later we can worry about
I
manufacturing.
think in a way, one of the challenges will be to retain that
Yeah.
crazy, like, imaginative potential. Like,
Yeah.
because I think you can like, I look at a lot of toys now and I kind of go, hey, nice bill of materials. You know, like as in there's this sort of, I can see that they've really made that quite cheaply, clever, and that's bad in a way. Like it's sort of like it's definitely not the case with our thing, where it's like, whoa, you do something. Oh god, it's really expensive. It's fine. Okay, it's fine. But you know, like I think, yeah. Let's have a silly question.
There's a bit of stuff here.
Okay. This is great. Thank you for tuning in. I'm personally astounded and delighted. And not only are you tuning in, but you're asking questions. That's very kind.
So just go back to the chat. Your friend Tim says he's been going grey for a while. Rosalind is excited about magnets.
Yeah.
Linda is asking if we can play against others in different locations, which is something Tim was pushing for early on.
Yeah.
And I was like, no way. And
It's in the roadmap. Let's say that.
Who knows?
So one of the
Just going to write it in the roadmap, right?
Yeah, that's great. In the roadmap means we might do it, maybe. So there's a bunch of tricky things that have to get solved first.
Yeah.
And the first of those is, how do you show somebody else what's going on in the digital game and the physical game at the same time? In other words, how do you have a camera feed and kind of overlay of digital game info? Almost like some kind of augmented reality streaming, which would be fun. But that's like a whole, so that would have to happen first, and then we'd have to figure out how the kind of matchmaking and player versus player and technology and all those things work.
There's a change from, I mean, so for me, there's definitely a thing that I still don't know how to design around. There's not a way, but a difference from one of the earlier versions we had, which was a versus game, and this one, they originally had this weird thing of like a minor collapse and a major collapse.
Oh, yes.
Because like, it's kind of unsatisfying if the game ends, it's just one piece falls off. And you're like, and if everything falls over, then the game should definitely end. That's the most satisfying time for the game to end. So now we're working with a volcano, so if it collapses, you have 7 seconds to rebuild it. And partly this is so you can recover from a tiny collapse. But more, this is so that if a minor collapse happens, you scramble to put it on and then you just knock the whole thing over. Which I think is a very funny moment and a very satisfying way for the game to end. To me, if you're playing it multiplayer, like, does the game end when the tower collapses, or does it extend even longer over and it expands multiple towers? Because obviously it'll collapse on one side, but presumably it won't collapse on the other side unless maybe there's like a vibration.
Yeah, but the other thing is motors in the base. That's the other thing that you might well need to make that work. But yeah, so basically, would it be cool if you could have online multiplayer where you had different towers in different places and you were playing some kind of game against each other? Definitely yes, 100% yes. Are we able to build that soon? Definitely no. But one day, I guess this is a good time to say that the game is available for pre-order. No, at beastsofbalance.com/store. beastsofbalance.com/store, or just beastsofbalance.com, and then you'll have to click like one button which says buy. And your support, if you haven't already given it to us, of course, and if you have, thank you very much, is what will keep an indie studio like us afloat and executing on some of these probably slightly less crazy ideas in the short term, and then more crazy ideas like online PvP. Okay, we're going to have a short interlude while Nell walks across the camera. Bye now.
Bye now. Okay.
Quiet, it's great.
Thanks, Nell. Thanks. Definitely not paid to say things like that.
Yeah, it's like, technically no.
Yeah. So what's up? Lots of people keen to hear about manufacturing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I should
Sure.
into that. Someone requesting, can we make a Slack live now of old scrapped pieces?
Wow.
Which so
Yeah. Right. That's not going to be fun.
Yeah, but we don't have a.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Let's
no,
do that.
I tell you what, subscribe. So we're going to do it again. I'm going to do it again. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we will do live stacking. Oh no,
Alex next time.
There you go. Just tantalize
That could be right
We're
there.
going to have something for next time now. Huh?
Oh, you want to
Yeah, we're going to say that.
Yeah, okay, you're gonna have to wait
It's
for
a
this.
good idea, and we'll definitely do it.
Yes.
But we'll do it next time.
I've got one
We
here.
might even make some of the tags work.
I've got one here.
No,
that I
no,
should-
I do give you some shit from your wife.
Oh, great.
Oh, yeah, all right. Yeah, enough of that at home.
So Holly says, Tim makes a point of pointing out specific manufacturing processes for everything.
Oh, yeah.
You just go around
Yeah,
like
everything in the
pointing
world.
at
Yeah.
injection, like injection.
Yeah, I do. I'm educating.
Yeah.
All the time. It's like seeing the Matrix. I stack things and I know how things are made.
That's true.
It's like a really shit superpower.
It is really interesting. Like I do spend like sort of show my daughters like, see this thing on your doll. Like somebody, like a human, sprayed that in this way. That's like they had this stencil and they do it all day. Why are you crying?
Yeah, a tiny Chinese woman did that by hand. You would treat her with respect.
Kind of. Well, a little bit though. Like I think if you if you understood how amazing, like how amazingly handmade everything is. Like there's this sort of thing that you kind of think, oh, it's all just done in a big factory and then something pops out. It's a bit like not knowing where your meat comes from. You know? It's the same kind of thing. Like when you actually have some insight into how that stuff works, it changes your perception of it.
It's very interesting to see. I've got one here that just says, well, it said, are there any official drinking game rules for the game? No, but there should be.
No, that's not true. Well, George designed a stacking drinking game, right?
Yeah, no, actually, this just involved beer. It wasn't actually a drinking game.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so there was
That's just drinking.
no. So it was this was at
EGX?
No, it was
No,
GDC Europe. Yeah, GDC Europe. So it was at GDC Europe, and we gathered in like a weird like underground car park bit. But it was underground, but there were like trees going up through to the upper level. So you had this kind of like
Trees in a
rocks.
car park.
Yeah, but underground, like so we were on the second level, and there was like a grating above the tree went through. Anyway, so there were these rocks stacked up there. So we made, so obviously stacking was like you had to stack up as many rocks as you could on top of each other, and then on top you had to balance a beer bottle. Because the person who could stack up the most rocks. So yeah.
And didn't you win best drinking game?
I won best drinking game and won I think 2 bottles of beer.
Congratulations.
Because people enjoyed that more than the other games.
There are no specific drinking rules, although I think that is another good live stream to come.
Maybe people will have some suggestions.
Yeah,
We'd love to play them.
Yeah, we would. Mostly, we just recommend drinking and playing the game. That's definitely highly recommended.
Yeah, I'm sure.
We always say like the game works best either if you're drunk or if you're 8 to 12. Those are the two.
So I was about to bring up a question from Aisha. Is this game designed for a particular age group?
Well,
8 to 12, or if you're drunk.
It's interesting. Like these days.
What? Don't say 8 to 12 or if you're drunk.
I was about to say something different. Okay.
I actually pitched a talk to GDC next year. It's like designing games with physical components for drunk people or children. That's literally the title of the talk.
So here's the thing. You know, the sort of orthodoxy of design and marketing and sales is you should know your audience and you should be able to say this is for 11-year-old boys who like cars and live in home counties and have a name that begins with R. And then you can market to them on Facebook because Facebook will let you choose all of those things. Probably will. And we've just sort of not done that for the reason that every time we play tested the game, it's worked great with these, like with people, really. So it really works great if you want a family game for your family game night that adults and kids can play. I mean, we say 8 to 12, 7, 6. I mean, younger kids will not get all of the nuances of the scoring, but they'll still, like, you put a thing on a tower and an animal of pretty colours appears and shiny noises and things. It's great. It definitely works great as a game to bust out at a party or at the beginning of a board game night. we often, like, so when we were at Essen last year, there was quite a lot of resistance on account of it having colourful pieces and a connected app, which is definitely not the thing that some people in the tabletop game world are super comfortable with. And then they played it and were like, actually, this is pretty okay. I would recommend it to my younger sister. But you know, like, so it's I don't know, being inclusive. I like being inclusive. I sort of like, come in, play your game. It's all right.
Yeah, I've got one that. So a question from Roberta Venturini that segues really nicely from that one.
Okay. So this is going to be our last serious question, and then we'll ask one silly question, and
Sure.
then we'll have to wrap it up because it's nearly, we've got 8 minutes left.
So Roberta's question, which probably both of you could answer actually, is which is your favourite Kardashian?
No, I think it's easy. Like Kim, she's done so much in her life. Like I don't think any of the others can really compare.
Alex?
So I'm going to say
Another one
that
isn't Kim.
I don't.
How many? Name them all.
I didn't know any.
I'm a big fan of Carpal Tunnel Kardashian.
Carpal Tunnel Kardashian.
I will say this. I pretty enjoyed the Kim Kardashian mobile game. I played that for a while. There were some things about it that I liked. I certainly spent some time defending it among serious-minded gamers who thought it was bad. There was a really lovely design decision at the beginning of that. You could choose your gender, and then you could choose what kind of gender of person you wanted to go on dates with in the game. So it was a very straightforward, but also just a very elegant way of being able to, like, you didn't have to label yourself in a particular way. It's like, I'm a boy or girl. No, I want to have dates with boy or girl. It was very, very nicely done, I thought. Great.
So, stream. Hi, Kyle. So, for those who don't know, Kyle is the animator.
Kyle.
So, all of the wonderful animations that
Yes.
arrived in recently, they're all due down to him, and it's made the game so much more beautiful.
Yeah, and emotional.
Not that it wasn't beautiful before, Lyle.
And he's raging right now.
Peter's just gone out the window. Oh, jeez.
So yeah, like.
So yeah, shout out to Kyle.
Shout out to Kyle. Thanks so much for that. And then finally, a possibly productive, possibly not question from my friend Tim. Is there a toy story behind the Millennium Falcon on the shelf behind us?
Oh, how much time do we have left?
You've got about 2.5 minutes.
So that's
there.
Yeah,
Timeline.
that's it there.
Good pointing.
I found, so that's 1984 Return of the Jedi Millennium Falcon that I found out on the Strand, which is the main street in London. It's one of the super heavy traffic ones. It's in its box, it's complete, it's got instruction manuals, everything. It was just sitting by the bins. I promise you I tried to find out if someone had thrown it out accidentally. I didn't just steal it from the road. But yeah, that's what I lovingly refer to as my pension plan. So yeah, no one touches my pension
Anyone who works for this company?
We just had a question from Fred, who lives on the street.
Oh no!
Give it back, please.
Okay, so that's all from us. Thanks for tuning in. Wow, I'm so old. With your wireless.
And stay safe.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few things before we go. If you're coming to Spiel next week, let us know on Twitter or email us hello@sensibleobject.com. No, hello@sensibleobject.com. Or comment on the page or something. We would love to see you. Please visit beastsofbalance.com. Check out our new trailer. Check out our shiny website. Thanks to Johnny at Commonworks for making that. One more time, beastsofbalance.com/store. If you pre-order the game now, you'll get free UK shipping, and we'll be shipping in November, before the end of November, so in very good time for Christmas. And please tell your friends, subscribe, see you next time.
We'll do another one next week.
Well, you know, that was fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. I think
Seemed
we can do it
happy.
again. Yeah.
So tune in again next week.
Okay,
Your
good. Yeah,
wireless.
we'll see. Yeah, exactly. And now a word from our sponsor.
Bye.